On September 10th, I was in Las Vegas. I stumbled into my room around 4 a.m. At 6:13 a.m., the phone rings. It's my wife. Turn on the TV, she says. The world is exploding. She wasn't kidding. I turned on the TV, and right before my eyes, the second plane hit the second tower. Welcome to September 11th, 2001. Next thing I know, I'm in a minivan with some coworkers, and we're driving back to Los Angeles. I remember during that time, I would listen to Johnny Cash's version of Tom Petty's I Won't Back Down. Something about the Americanness of that song, the defiance of it, the lyrics captured that moment just so perfectly. Whenever I hear that song, it takes me back to 9/11. I realized then, and I'm realizing now, that the only way to get through a crisis is to have a soundtrack. When the coronavirus hit and we were all forced into isolation, one of the first things I did was create a soundtrack. The coronavirus soundtrack. I loaded up a bunch of songs on Spotify, some expected, some cheeky, some soulful. The soundtrack starts pretty predictably with REM's It's the End of the World as We Know It. Then I threw on The Clash's Clampdown and Imagine Dragons' Radioactive. To honor social distancing, I put on The Police, Don't Stand So Close to Me. I got even more themes in there. Peggy Lee's Fever, Aerosmith's Sick as a Dog, The Rolling Stones' Dear Doctor. I got very emotional. I put on Eminem's I'm Not Afraid. I put on Pearl Jam's Alive. Then I opened up the playlist to anybody who wanted to contribute. And several people loaded up their songs. I thought this was pretty funny. Someone uploaded Hey 19, COVID-19. Pretty funny. It was all fun. I mean, it was everyone getting together and loading up great songs. And then Kenny Rogers died. Now, I was never a Kenny Rogers fan, but to mark the moment, I uploaded The Gambler. And I just started listening to a few Kenny Rogers tunes, and I found one of my favorites. It's a Bill Withers song called Ain't No Sunshine, and Kenny does a pretty good version. I uploaded that, and little did I know that would be a very prophetic song. A few days later, the whole ventilator issue was dominating the news, and I wound up uploading something by these guys. Great song off of Exile Main Street called Ventilator Blues by the Rolling Stones. Perfect way to mark the moment. And then John Prine went into the hospital. John Prine, the American icon. I immediately put on Angel from Montgomery and listened to it over and over again. And as I was listening to that song, it struck me there's that great lyric, just give me one thing that I can hold on to. And I felt like that lyric really summed up what I'm talking about. You see, music gives you something to hold on to in these challenging times. With John Prine in the hospital, I went deeper into his catalog, and I found a song I'd never heard before. It was called Long Monday. And the song is a great story about two lovers who have a wonderful weekend together. A great Friday, a great Saturday, an amazing Sunday. And then the woman has to leave Sunday night. And the hero laments because what he's got in front of him is a long Monday. It's wonderful. I loaded that up onto the soundtrack. And as I'm going deep into, John Prine land, the news comes out and Adam Schlesinger goes into the hospital with COVID-19 symptoms. Now, I knew Adam's name and I couldn't quite place it. And then as I did one search for him, there it was, of course, Fountains of Wayne. And Fountains of Wayne was a terrific band. I kind of feel the early 2000s from them. Um, and I started looking up Adam's stuff, and I realized there was a lot of songs that I knew that I didn't know he had written. And it turns out that he was involved with this film. I love this film, That Thing You Do. Of course, featuring one of the icons of this coronavirus, Mr. Tom Hanks. So I got in deep on Adam, and what a genius he was. And I wound up finding a beautiful song that he'd written called Sick Day. It's on the first album of Fountains of Wayne. And I just listened to that over and over again, and then he passed away. I felt kind of sad that not only for his passing, but just that I wasn't listening to him more when he was so vibrant. And I know it's just a little reminder. Just don't forget these artists. They're out there. We have to listen. Anyway, I was getting deep into Fountains of Wayne, and then the news comes out, and then Bill Withers dies. And Bill Withers, I love Bill. He did Lean on Me. Uh, he did Ain't No Sunshine, of course, tied to the Kenny Rogers moment. Um, and he has a great song called Lovely Day. And I was always connected to Lovely Day because last year, for whatever reason, sometimes these things happen, but for whatever reason, uh, my wife would wake up every morning on her iPhone to Bill Withers' Lovely Day. 6:30 a.m. without fail. Lovely day, lovely day, lovely day. And I never got tired of it. And yeah, it was rough hearing that. And then just when you thought it couldn't get lower, John Prine dies. And for whatever reason, that really hit me hard. I really thought he was going to make it. I mean, he just seemed like one of those indestructible troubadours that get kicked down the road of life, but keep coming back with a smile and a song. But it wasn't going to happen this way. This virus is a stone cold killer, and it's not letting up. So, what did I do? I listened to Angel from Montgomery again and again. And again, I listened to John's version. I listened to Bonnie Raitt's version. I found a wonderful duet, the two of them doing the song. And it was just amazing. And I think what's amazing about that song and music and all these artists I've referenced is that the music makes you feel something. And I think that's the thing that's going to help you get through a crisis is when you can feel things, sometimes joy and sometimes sadness. Sometimes you need to hear the blues when you have the blues, and it works. So, my message to you is very simple. If you want to get through this crisis, turn on some music. Play it when you're working. Play it when you're cooking. Play it when you're cleaning the house. And do what I do. I take out my AirPods. I put them in. I sit back in the chair. I hit the song, and I just let it kind of wash all over me. And I listen hard to the lyrics, and I listen to the arrangement and the instruments, and I just let the song work its magic. And if you don't know what to listen to, go to the coronavirus soundtrack. It's there for you. Listen, dance, contribute to it. But go to the coronavirus soundtrack. I think you'll find some pretty good songs there.